You more than anybody else probably can understand what Matt Murray has gone through in terms of rehabilitating, spending a long time for a night like tonight.
Yeah, it's really nice to see. You know, it hasn't been forgotten in my mind what he's accomplished in this league, in his career, and it's really nice to see a guy get an opportunity there who's been battling through injuries and feels really good about his body and his game. Yeah, I mean, as you mentioned, I went through that as well, so I really, it is really nice to see someone else kind of go through that. Not to say you want someone to go through it, but to come out on the other side of it, and hopefully he can keep going the way he has been.
What are the mental challenges with something like what he's gone through? What obviously you can relate to that.
It's hard. I mean, it's hard to almost remember what you've done, what you've accomplished, because it seems like all the noise is always in the moment of, you know, whether it's the injury or what has happened lately. And in reality, you just, you know, got to take each day as it comes, and you never know when it's going to be all over, so you don't want to take days for granted. He probably had some times where he thought it might be. I definitely did as well, and you definitely don't want to take any of those days for granted.
What is the most to you about him as an opponent, like in the times you've faced him, trying to score on him?
Well, I mean, to have the success he's had and win cups, and you got to be a competitor. And in the short time I've been out there, even this morning, I mean, just for me, all the best goaltenders set the tone for the team from the crease out, and it's through their competition. And he's definitely a competitor, and a big reason why he's had a lot of success and why he's able to come back from an injury like that.
What do you make of the way Austin's managing his injuries this year?
I mean, he's our leader. He never will hear anyone complain about anything. He's been he was out of the lineup there for a while, came back and contributes every night. So I've always said I think he's one of the best players in the world, and you know, whether it's scoring goals, setting up plays, playing well defensively, he's a really responsible player that helps the team out in all areas, and that's a big reason why he's the captain.
What's it like to maybe play a home game tonight? What will that feel like?
Yeah, I've heard about it. A couple guys mentioned that it's normally packed with Leafs fans, and that's always fun, you know, playing in Montreal. I feel like there's a couple scenarios where it felt like that as well, sometimes in Florida over the holidays and whatnot. So probably a little bit different for feeling for the home team when that happens. But yeah, it's always fun to play in front of our fans, and I'm sure there'll be a lot here tonight.
How would you assess the team's game class in the stretch here?
You know, up and down a little bit, but still finding ways to win hockey games by being, one, competitive, but also having the right mindset and focusing on the process. Obviously, you know, last game we passed up a lot of opportunities there, but then we're really opportunistic, but then hammered down kind of on our structure. So I know everyone wants to draw up every game to be, you know, perfect, but, you know, we've really done a good job of recognizing when we need to score, when we need to tighten it up, when we need to get a little bit of a spark. Goaltenders have been making really timely saves at the right time of the game when it's needed, and it just, you know, good groups tend to play like that, and hopefully we can keep building our game in terms of, you know, we don't need to be put in a lot of these scenarios, but also it's nice to at the end of the day and at the end of the year to have been down through these experiences and kind of know how to react through them.
Greg, who's your starting goalie tonight?
Murray.
And what went into that decision?
He's played well down there, and we thought we'd bring him up here and get him involved here tonight with, you know, the Stolarz injury. You know, veteran guy that's been around, and you know, obviously the last couple of years with injuries and things like that with him, but he's back to health, and you know, he's playing well down there, and like I said, veteran guy.
What sort of appreciation do you have for the journey, all the rehab that he's gone through to get back?
Well, a dedicated guy, you know, obviously he's won 2 cups and he's done it all, but, you know, he still has a lot left in the tank, and he wants to continue playing, so it takes a lot of hard work, but, you know, it takes a lot of hard work, and he's already accomplished the ultimate goal a couple times, you know, but he still has a lot of fire inside and wants to, you know, get back to the form he had once.
No Matthews, no Joe Wall.
Just maintenance. They're available.
What do you like about maybe some of the defensive switches you were looking at the morning skate?
Well, like I think more than anything, it's you know, we switched him up the last couple games in game, putting Noel back on left. McCabe's played right here before with Benoit. They were a good pair. It's a heavy pair. So it's just moving guys around, just the same as we do up front with the lines at times, you know, mix them up once in a while.
What's your sense of how challenging this has been, Matthews coming back from the injury?
Like him personally? Well, yeah, it's tough. I mean, he's fighting through it, and he's doing, you know, he's doing a pretty good job out there on the ice. Like, he's producing and playing hard and working, and, you know, we just got to manage it. We just got to manage it. You know, it'll get better. We just got to manage it, though, and, you know, that's why he's off the ice today.
What do you think about the atmosphere will be here like tonight, and are you kind of looking forward to that?
Well, it's going to be a hard game, I'll tell you that. You know, that team, you know, you can look at the Montreal score all you want. I mean, Montreal scored some power play goals on them, but they played extremely hard against Montreal. They were pretty good in that game, to be honest with you. They got Darlene back tonight. He's a handful. It'll be a good atmosphere. It'll be a good game, be a competitive game, very competitive game, and our guys got to be ready to go from the start of the drop of the puck, and we got to be competitive right away, and we got to play North hockey right away. Like, you know, this is a very good team talent-wise, and if you turn pucks over and you're not checking properly, they can do some damage.
With so many Maple Leafs fans expected here, what's that like?
Well, that's always nice. I mean, like, listen, we got a great following. We all know that. Any place we go in the league, there's a lot of Leaf fans, it seems like. But I know there's going to be a lot here tonight. So, you know, we got to come out and play our game and give them something to cheer about.
Have you ever been on a team where the owner addressed the team mid-season?
I probably have at some point. I have to think back. I've been in a lot of meetings. I know Mr. Snyder would have jumped in there a few times in Philly back in the day on some things for sure. So, yeah, you know, it's just, you know, that's just an owner that cares and wants things better and wants the team to do well, and you know, he's addressing the team and putting faith in them.
Snyder was around a lot. Did he ever go in the locker room and sit everybody down?
Well, like I said, I don't know if Mr. Snyder ever did that, but Mr. Snyder was hands-on every day at the rink, practice, games, you know, always in the room talking to guys, and, you know, he was great owner.
Leafs facing center crisis amid injuries, eyeing trade market for solutions. As the Toronto Maple Leafs battle through a growing injury list and a suspension, their lack of depth at the center position has become a glaring issue. According to Sportsnet's Elliotte Friedman in his latest 32 Thoughts article, the Leafs are among the teams exploring trade options to bolster their lineup. This effort is coming amid increasing competition from teams like the Chicago Blackhawks and Nashville Predators, who have also set their sights on improving their center depth. Friedman didn't mince words about the Leafs' predicament. The teams currently focusing on centers, including Chicago and Nashville, must consider when others will enter the market. Toronto will undoubtedly be one of those teams, he wrote. While the Blackhawks and Predators may have an edge in terms of cap space and assets, the Leafs remain a team to watch as the season progresses. The Leafs situation is urgent, with up to 7 forwards currently unavailable due to injury or suspension. Ryan Reeves is serving a 5-game suspension, while key players like Austin Matthews, upper body, Matthew Knies, upper body, Kaye Jarnkrok, groin/sports hernia, David Kampf, lower body, Max Domi, lower body, and Max Pacioretty, lower body, are all sidelined. The team has even considered temporarily shifting Mitch Marner to the center position, highlighting the severity of their depth issues. This isn't just a short-term concern for the Leafs. Depth at center has been a persistent challenge for the team, and while stopgap solutions like Marner could help in the interim, the front office appears keen to explore longer-term fixes. For fans of the blue and white, this has been a recurring theme. The Leafs' center depth often becomes a problem at the worst possible times. James Myrtle of The Athletic recently added more fuel to the speculation, naming several potential trade targets who could help the Leafs address their issues. Among them is Ryan O'Reilly, a familiar name for Toronto fans. O'Reilly, who signed a 4-year, $18 million deal with Nashville in 2023, might be a trade candidate if the Predators' underwhelming start to the season, 6-11-3, 31st in the league, prompts a rebuild. However, his steep price tag and history with the Leafs, including rejecting a free agency offer less than 2 years ago, make this a complex and potentially unlikely move. Other names mentioned by Myrtle include former Leaf Nazem Kadri, currently with Calgary, as well as players like Michael Granlund, Nick Jugstad, Brock Nelson, Yanni Gourde, Trent Frederick, Radek Faksa, and Sean Kuraly. While some of these options seem more plausible than others, it's clear that general manager Brad Treliving will need to get creative to find the right piece without mortgaging the team's future. Cap space remains one of the biggest obstacles for the Leafs. Unlike teams like Chicago and Nashville, which have more flexibility and assets, Toronto is walking a financial tightrope. As Friedman noted, competition will intensify as cap-constrained teams strive to create room. For the Leafs, that could mean waiting for the market to develop further, a risky move given their current needs. The situation also highlights the Leafs' ongoing struggle to build a roster that can withstand the grueling nature of an NHL season. Injuries are an inevitability in hockey, but Toronto's current predicament underscores the importance of depth, a quality the team has struggled to consistently maintain. Looking back on recent years, the Leafs have often leaned heavily on their star players, particularly Matthews, Marner, and William Nylander. While these players have delivered in spades, the lack of reliable depth options has left the team vulnerable in critical moments. The current crisis at center is merely the latest example of this recurring issue. Some fans have called for more aggressive moves from Treliving, arguing that now is the time to strike while the team's core is in its prime. Others, however, are more cautious, pointing to the dangers of overpaying for short-term fixes. Striking the right balance will be key, especially as the Leafs aim to keep their championship window open. Despite the challenges, there's no denying that Toronto has the talent to be a contender, provided they can patch up their lineup. The ongoing rumors and speculation surrounding potential trades show that the Leafs are at least exploring every avenue to strengthen their roster. For fans of the blue and white, this moment feels like a pivotal point in the season. With a lineup ravaged by injuries and a tough schedule ahead, the Leafs must act decisively to avoid falling behind in the standings. The addition of a dependable center could be the difference between weathering the storm or watching another season slip away. Whether it's O'Reilly, Kadri, or another surprise name, one thing is certain: the Leafs are under pressure to deliver. And for a fan base as passionate and loyal as Toronto's, there's no room for excuses. The time to act is now, and Leafs Nation is watching closely. As the trade deadline approaches, the stakes couldn't be higher. Will Treliving pull off a move that solidifies the Leafs' status as a contender, or will the search for center depth become yet another chapter in the team's long history of what-ifs? Only time will tell, but one thing's for sure, it's never boring in Leafs land. As the Maple Leafs navigate this critical juncture, their fan base remains as vocal as ever. Toronto is a city that breathes hockey, and the pressure on Brad Treliving to make the right moves is immense. Every decision he makes, or doesn't make, will be scrutinized, from talk radio to social media, where Leafs Nation is already debating the merits of the various names being floated as potential trade targets. Among the louder debates is whether the team should prioritize a high-profile acquisition like Ryan O'Reilly or Nazem Kadri, or focus on a lower-cost, reliable center who can fill a supporting role without costing too many future assets. While O'Reilly's leadership and playoff experience make him an attractive option, his contract and recent history with the Leafs add layers of complexity to any potential reunion. Similarly, Kadri's gritty, two-way playstyle remains a fan favorite, but his cap hit and availability might render him an unrealistic target. Another factor complicating the Leafs situation is their tight salary cap. While Chicago and Nashville can make moves with relative ease due to their financial flexibility, Toronto must navigate a labyrinth of constraints to make any trade work. This likely means including salary retention or moving existing contracts to make room, which could drive up the cost of any potential deal. The question then becomes, how much are the Leafs willing to sacrifice to address their immediate needs? One potential trade partner generating buzz is the Seattle Kraken. Yanni Gourde, a dependable two-way center, has been mentioned as a possible target. Gourde's versatility and championship pedigree from his time with Tampa Bay make him an appealing option. Seattle, however, is in playoff contention and may not be inclined to part with a key piece unless the Leafs can provide a substantial return. Another intriguing name is Brock Nelson of the New York Islanders. Nelson is a consistent scorer and reliable faceoffman, qualities that would undoubtedly bolster Toronto's center depth. However, the Islanders are notoriously cautious when it comes to trades, and prying Nelson away would likely require a significant package, including picks or prospects that the Leafs may be hesitant to part with. For all the trade talk, some analysts believe the solution might come from within. Sheldon Keefe has shown a willingness to experiment with his lineup, and players like Pontus Holmberg or Fraser Minten could be given an opportunity to step up. While relying on less experienced players carries risks, it might be the Leafs' only option if the trade market proves too costly or slow to develop. Adding to the Leafs' urgency is the timing. The Atlantic Division remains one of the toughest in the league, with teams like Boston, Florida, and Tampa Bay continuing to dominate. Any prolonged slump could see Toronto slip further down the standings, putting their playoff hopes in jeopardy. For a team with Stanley Cup aspirations, failing to address their weaknesses could have catastrophic consequences. Brad Treliving's history as a general manager suggests he's not afraid to make bold moves. His time with the Calgary Flames was marked by blockbuster trades, including the acquisition of Jonathan Huberdeau and Mackenzie Weegar in the Matthew Tkachuk deal. Leafs fans hope he brings that same decisiveness to Toronto, especially as the trade deadline looms. Beyond the immediate need for a center, this situation underscores a broader issue with the Leafs roster construction. Depth has been a perennial concern, and while Toronto boasts some of the league's top-end talent, their reliance on a handful of stars has left them vulnerable in moments like this. Moving forward, addressing this imbalance must be a priority for the front office if the team is to achieve sustained success. As the Leafs head into a critical stretch of the season, the next few weeks could define their trajectory.